Okay, we are going to learn about how to fix autoimmune conditions with nutrition with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. So fasten your seatbelts. We're going to learn and grow together. I'm at the studio today in Jacksonville. Now, the microphones are all turned off, right? Awesome. Okay, Dr. Fuhrman, are you going to dance for me today?
I never dance for you.
Do you know that
I'm not dancing early in the morning.
We had comments on the last time I said, I'm going to get you to dance. And the comments were, dance, Dr. Fuhrman, dance. People want to see you dance. And by the way, if you want to check out his abs, go to the Heal Tribe, the Heal Tribe videos.
Okay.
Remember you showed your abs and your muscles.
The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, I have been waiting for you. I'm excited that you're here. And let me share with you what my mission is. It is my purpose in life to provide alternative ways to heal. And it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Today we have, guess who? Dr. Joel Fuhrman. You guys, all of us love Dr. Fuhrman. And today we're giving away, and I know once I say this, the phones are going to blow up. We're going to give away his book called Super Immunity. Oh, it's already ringing. Super Immunity. It's the 10th caller or texter. Dr. Joel Fuhrman is in the house. And so I have to ask the question, have you had your G-bombs today? If not, you're going to want to do so, especially after you listen to Dr. Fuhrman today. Dr. Joel Fuhrman is a world-renowned New York Times best-selling author, and he's going to teach us about nutrition, how we can prevent and reverse disease. Especially today, we're going to talk about autoimmune disease. Yes, do you think that because you have a symptom and that symptom then has a name called a diagnosis, that once they put you on these medications, you will always be on this medication? Well, think again. Dr. Joel Fuhrman is going to teach us how we can use nutritional food, how we can put ourselves in a nutrient-rich diet so that we can reverse and prevent autoimmune diseases. 10th caller texter, 407-373-5959 will get the book, Super Immunity. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Joel Fuhrman is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Fuhrman, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You're looking great, bright and early, although I must say, I'm going to try to get you to dance. One of these days, you are going to dance on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, because for those of you who don't know this, we video record this as well, and it's on YouTube right after. So Dr. Fuhrman, share a little bit about yourself and immune disease, what you want people to know about the myths of autoimmune disease today.
Well, first of all, autoimmune disease is very serious. It's a whole constellation of about 80 different diseases, including people know about lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and ulcerative colitis, where people have 20 bowel movements a day, and multiple sclerosis, which can affect people's brains and affect their body. They could be paralyzed. So it's a bunch of serious illnesses. And today, when you go to physicians, the only hope and the only treatment get for these potentially life-threatening diseases is taking chemotherapeutic agents which cause cancer. Mm-hmm. So they feel a little better, and they can sometimes go into remission, but then these people that are thus treated by rheumatologists with these very dangerous medications have a dramatically increased risk of cancer and shortened lifespan. So that's the conventional care, and they have to be dealt with by rheumatologists because you have to go back to the doctor frequently to get your blood checked, and to get examined because the drugs they're using are so dangerous. So you have a disease that's dangerous that can destroy your joints or your kidney, and you have the drugs that are dangerous that can cause bone marrow failure, blood cell problems, and cancer. So they're stuck. What do they do? It's really a horrible diagnosis. For the last 20 years, I've been reversing cases of autoimmune disease using nutritional excellence and what I call a nutritarian diet. And I've published these results in the medical literature starting back maybe in 1995 and published it in scientific studies. And I'm not the only person who's published studies in the scientific literature showing that rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, ulcerative colitis, and lupus can be reversed through using excellent nutrition. But it's still largely ignored by the medical profession. And I think that every single individual who has a case of lupus or rheumatoid arthritis or colitis should be told about this. Mm-hmm. And if they're not told, it seems like it should be malpractice. You're going to put a person on a drug that causes cancer and take 30 years off their life and have them suffer needlessly and not tell them they could get well. It's just, so I'm very, there's like almost 50 million people in the United States suffering with autoimmune diseases. And the number of people with autoimmune illnesses has been skyrocketing since the 1950s. In the last 50 years, it's been climbing with the obesity epidemic, with the use of processed foods and oils in the American diet, which become, when you cook an oil, it creates increased rancidity, it becomes increased toxicity. And then, of course, we have this explosion of autoimmune diseases developing that are treacherous.
Amazing, amazing. So this is the start. It's just going to get better from here. Be the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who's giving away Super Immunity, his book. If you want to book, then start calling or texting. We'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Dr. Fuhrman, one of the things that I want people to understand is that we've been conditioned to take medication. And we've been conditioned to trust medicine. And I love the question that you always ask is, if there wasn't a medication for this particular disease or the name of a symptom that they call disease, what would you do differently? And that's the question I want to nail at the beginning of the next segment, because it's amazing how we run towards the pill. How do we shift this mentality that the pill is just keeping us sick enough to need the next pill? But nutrition can actually reverse disease. So how that, you don't need to talk about it now, but during the segment, the next segment, that the mindset, because I work with mind, body, spirit, not just the food, not just the brain, not just the body. So how do we get people to start that shift? Okay, that's one.
That's right. It's the interplay between bad food and drugs that create this crisis in America, where you think that drugs are the answer, but the food takes away your your ability to think logically. Food is so addicting that it makes people take away their ability to think clearly and logically, and it lowers the creativity, and they rationalize to protect their addictions. They'll come up with rationalization to protect their addiction. Yeah, but this idea of giving a drug for everything that ails you is it's not just barbaric, it's causing needless suffering and death. It's horrible.
Yeah. Do you know that, and Brian, how much time do we have? 35 seconds. And by the way, Dr. Fuhrman, open your chat button, open your chat. Okay, good. Okay. So you know our cue. If I get off the mic, the music is playing. So we're having some issues with pixelation. So make sure that everything that you have that is on the internet, turn it off. That way it'll be better for you. No, I'm talking about on your computer, like any screens on your computer, just turn those off. Okay, so you doing okay? Okay, here we go. What about now? You ready to dance, Dr. Fuhrman? You ready to dance?
No.
One of these days, I'm going to get you my pretty.
I'll visit you in Florida. You'll have me on live.
Yay! Okay. Let me know when you're going to come. I want to do a big event.
Can I do something? We did something live in that place.
Once again, Here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where we always learn and grow together. I'm still gonna get Dr. Fuhrman to dance on the show. For those of you who have never heard Dr. Fuhrman before, you're in for a treat. For those of you who've been listening to the show and are fans of the show, thank you. Welcome back. And the people that are new, again, you know, this is information that we don't hear in the mainstream media. What we hear is take the pill. On the Lillian McDermott radio show, you will hear you could take a pill or you could take responsibility. I'm not against the pills. There are times where these pills are life-saving. But for the long term, this is what we're talking about. And so today we're talking about nutritional reversal of autoimmune disease. Does that sound foreign to you? That's because nobody else is out there talking about this. Dr. Joel Fuhrman has built his reputation, his medical practice, everything on the fact that he uses medical, nutritional, evidential science. This is not, I think this is going to work. He's been, was it 40 years, Dr. Fuhrman, that you've been working with nutritional excellence and honing in on this? 30 years.
30 years.
Okay, but since you were a child, how about that? Since you were a little boy, helping your mother heal and helping those, you knew that there was a connection with food even before you became a doctor. So here's the thing that happens, Dr. Fuhrman, and I was talking to you about this off the air, and it's the mindset that we have. Our body speaks to us, and it's called a symptom. And then we run to the doctor, and the doctors who have been trained by the pharmaceutical industry say, okay, these are your symptoms. Now what we're going to do is we're going to give you a pill. And that pill is going to allow you to do everything you were doing before, but take the pill and you should get better. That's nonsense. And you and I know that. So we're talking about nutritional excellence and to help reverse disease. So how do we shift the mindset from taking the pill to saying, I will do anything and everything to achieve health naturally?
Well, being a physician treating patients with autoimmune illnesses for 30 years, that's the most rewarding part of the practice, because these people are suffering so much and they have they're so fearful of their life once they get a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis or lupus, which can cause you to get kidney failure and need a kidney transplant. Or multiple sclerosis can put you in a wheelchair the rest of your life.
That's right.
Or rheumatoid arthritis, which can cripple your joints so you can't move and you're in pain when you try to move. They're very serious illnesses, and I find that these are the people that will do anything to get well. They come to my practice and they would eat sawdust. I've had people say to me, I'll eat sawdust, just get me well, get me out of pain, save my life. I'll eat, because many times the drugs don't work, and they know the drugs are very toxic. They are often the same chemotherapeutic agents that doctors use to treat cancer that they give to these people, because when the immune system is attacking self, attacking your joints, attacking your skin, attacking your kidney, attacking your bowels, the only way conventional medical doctors have to make a person feel better or stop the attack is by poisoning the immune system with a chemotherapeutic agent, the same chemotherapeutic agents which cause death to cancer cells. And there's no such thing as a cancer drug that doesn't hurt your normal cells. They just hurt the cancer cells worse, because when cells have cancer, they replicate faster. Mm-hmm. And the cells, when they replicate faster, they open their insides up. Their DNA is more exposed to the effects of poison. So the cancer cells are more susceptible to poison than regular cells are, whose DNA is more tightly wound. With a chemotherapeutic agent for rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and multiple sclerosis, we have these immune cells that replicate more rapidly compared to normal cells like the heart and lung. The white blood cells, the immune cells, they replicate more rapidly, so they're more susceptible to the effects of chemotherapeutic agents. So we're essentially using poisons on a body that's already poisoned through bad nutrition. We're putting more severe poisons to try to reduce symptoms. That's the complete opposite direction we should be going. And essentially, that's the core of what's wrong with medical care. Because we have diseases that are caused by toxicity in the body and by the buildup of waste products, both endogenously and exogenously. Mm-hmm. The word exogenous waste, the word XEX, means toxins that come from the external environment, plastics, mercury, chemical agents. The word endogenous means it's coming from within. It's our own metabolic waste that we produce as a result of what we ate or our normal body processes. But we build up those waste products like a factory has to eliminate waste. But when our body is fed properly, with a diet full of phytochemicals and antioxidants, we're able to prevent inflammation, prevent the buildup of waste. But without that, with the buildup of waste, we get damage. We get damage to our body, we age faster, we get disease. Mm-hmm. And then we go to doctors, instead of trying to clean up our acts and get rid of the waste, we put more poisons in the body. So we poison a body that's already poisoned to try to suppress the symptom of disease, which inevitably makes the person sicker, accelerates the aging process, brings them closer to death as a means of controlling their symptoms. So what I'm saying right now is that the way conventional medical care is practiced, doctors are giving poisons to people with illnesses that already have excessive level of toxicity in their tissue, thus accelerating their death and laying the groundwork for future illnesses. Doctors are dangerous, and medical care and drugs shouldn't be considered health care. Right now, people, you're saying to me, why do people take drugs? Because that's what they consider health care. They go with a symptom, they go to a doctor. The doctor does tests to diagnose the name of the disease. The person feels they got their name diagnosed. They know what it is now. It's something called fibromyalgia. That makes them feel better because the doctor knows what's wrong with them. Well, I don't know why that matters. It matters if they get well or not. I don't know if the disease is called. So now the doctor can pick the drug to give that disease, and the person now has they have a solution, this little pill they can take for their disease, which is the most insane and barbaric approach that leads to a health where we have a nation of sick people just popping pills and having a horrible life. Yet I'm so adamant that every person knows they don't have to be sick. They don't have to live with their asthma. They can get rid of their lupus, their rheumatoid arthritis, their multiple sclerosis. But so many thousands of patients make complete reversals and be free of the need for taking these drugs for the rest of their life.
And I for those of you who are listening today, you're listening to Dr. Joel Fuhrman. He's giving away his book called Super Immunity. I don't think we've ever given this book away. I don't even have the book. So I'm excited that Dr. Fuhrman is giving this book away, Super Immunity. He says it's one of the favorite ones that are out there that he's ever written. So the 10th caller or texter, although all of them are great, I can't imagine anything being better than the last and the last and the last. But it's 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. One of my favorite conversations, Dr. Fuhrman, that we had, you proposed the question in our conversation. What came up was, what would people do if there wasn't a pill for their quote unquote diagnosis? How would they change their life? And this pill has given us a crutch. And I love that question. I want for all of you to sit with that. If you're taking a medication right now and you would like to get off this medication. So then the next question I want to ask you, Dr. Fuhrman, because I guess I don't understand the differences. Autoimmune disease is an autoimmune disease, but then each one has a different specialty within this autoimmune umbrella. You mentioned asthma, you mentioned lupus, you mentioned rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, you mentioned psoriasis. What other conditions and what makes them different? Is it the organ that it affects?
Yes.
Okay. So
it's the organ that affects, but some diseases like lupus affect multiple organs.
Correct.
Psoriatic arthritis affects your skin, but it affects your joints too. Usually rheumatoid arthritis mostly affects joints without as much skin involvement. But there's also blood tests that sometimes show the difference between one disease and another. There's slight differences. Obviously, the definition of autoimmune disease, it's your immune system doesn't recognize yourself as a friend. Normally, the immune system is supposed to recognize the self as different from something that's not self, like a bacteria coming into the body. And so instead of attacking the bacteria, it's attacking yourself. So it's a combination of things that happen because self is now seen as abnormal, because self is abnormal, because the surface of our cells become cryptic and rippled and abnormal when the cell's not healthy, number one. And number two, the immune cells themselves are not functioning properly. Because now when we have an autoimmune response, the T suppressor cells that's supposed to control the autoimmune response and turn it down, it doesn't overreact, is not functioning well, so we can't stop the autoimmune response once it starts, and it starts attacking our cells.
Great.
There's a constellation of issues that are going wrong here. And like you said, what if we never had drugs? And that came up immediately before in conversations, was that if people developed type 2 diabetes years ago and they didn't have drugs, they made them eat right and they made them exercise. Now they have drugs, so people don't have to eat right and exercise. They can just eat wrong and take the drugs thinking they're okay, which accelerates their demise because now they continue to gain weight, become more diabetic, and they take more and more drugs. Yeah. So medical care makes the diabetic die younger. If we never had medical care, never had drugs, the diabetes would be forced to lose weight and get thinner. They have nothing to do. The same thing is true with autoimmune diseases. Medical care makes these people die younger. Now, I know a doctor or somebody listening could be arguing and saying, without these drugs, people with lupus would die. Without, but it's because they don't see the fact that how effective nutrition is. And I could give examples, so many examples. I had a 16-year-old girl who was on the National Renal Transplant list, waiting for a new kidney while taking all the conventional chemotherapeutic agents, still getting worse. And she followed my approach to lupus, which included fresh vegetable juices, probiotics, the salads, getting rid of all the toxicity in your diet, but in any case, she followed my approach and she restored with a creatinine of 4.2. She got her creatinine back to 0.8, less than 1. Within 1 year, she made a complete recovery from lupus off all the medications. So what I'm saying right now is even that's hard to believe. That even was hard for me to believe it when I saw it. I couldn't imagine because I thought that her kidney with a creatinine of 4.2 could never come back to normal. I thought that's too much. There's like 80% of the kidney is shot. She's going to be eventually on dialysis. And I thought maybe I could help her feel better and use less medication, but I never saw her coming back to normal. But the point is that even these advanced cases are able to reverse the disease. The capacity of the human body to heal when you optimize the nutritional environment for healing is just remarkable. So it gives people, and the people have come to me from all over the world. They fly in from Sweden and South Africa to get nutritional care. And it's all by word of mouth because it's never that the rheumatologist, never that their doctor sends them my way and tells them they can get well. It's always they read it, they read some article, they heard me being interviewed, they saw some patient, they got well. There's complete silence about all these cases that we publish in the medical literature.
Yes.
We put it out there. There's articles written on it. I wrote a book up here. I wrote a book about it. Right here, I wrote a book about it. Still, why aren't physicians recommending this as the first line approach? Well, you could say because it would put them out of business because all rheumatologists do is give drugs. That's all they do. So that all the people would get well. People wouldn't need rheumatologists anymore.
So Dr. Fuhrman, juice, I heard you say juicing, and I know we're coming close to the end of this segment. Juice versus smoothies. What do you recommend for someone who has an autoimmune condition, juice or smoothies?
Yes, we want them to juice the first 3 months, to have green juices the first 3 months because they're almost always their nutrient scores. We test their antioxidant scores and their level of phytonutrients with a carotenoid scanner. It's always very, very low. We can't start to even begin to wean them off medications till their scores till they have adequate nutrient in their tissues, which takes a few months, 2 or 3 months. So the juicing helps them get the levels of nutrients up in their body's tissues.
And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Sorry, Dr. Fuhrman, I didn't see the music had started. I'm sorry, Brian.
No problem.
I didn't see you going there because I was just like focusing on this. So 3 months of juicing. So that's the first thing. Now,
well, it could be more than 3 months, but we like to keep them on. I like to keep them on a good juice program the first 3 months to bring their levels of nutrients back to normal.
So while we're on the break, what's a good juice combination? What do you add to your juice for someone who has autoimmune condition? What are some of the important additives, the important blend that you recommend?
Well, I can certainly tell you that, but I think you should tell me, I should answer that when we're back on the air, though.
No, I want to encourage people to listen off the air. So I'm going to tell them to watch the video, or we can say it on the air. I just want to get to... The what?
It's 1/3. It's the same as the anti-cancer juicing program. Okay. It's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So 1/3 is cruciferous greens like bok choy, cabbage, and kale.
Okay.
1/3 is benign like lettuce, cucumber, and lettuce, cucumber, and celery. Something that's not that strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1/3 is the carotenoid, high carotenoid, like beet and carrot. So beet, carrot, tomato is 1/3, 1/3 is cucumber and lettuce, and 1/3 is cruciferous like bok choy, kale, and cabbage.
Okay.
And they can squeeze some lemon in there. So the beet and carrot give it a little sweetness. The lemon, and you can put lemon and ginger in there too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about ginger.
A little bit of ginger is good.
Yeah. What about any onions or anything like that you would put into that?
Not into the juice.
Not into the juice. Make it a little spicy. How about some pepper, some like cayenne or jalapeno? Nothing spicy at that point.
I personally wouldn't like that, but a person could put something in there like that if they want. But
maybe for a lunch.
I'd rather they stick with the ginger. If they want something spicy, they could add some turmeric.
Oh yeah, turmeric. Okay. Okay.
Turmeric and ginger are good, but ginger is the great. We really want to make the juice. And I have these people probably making the full 15 ounces in the morning, and maybe could split it. Half they could have in the morning, and half they could have later in the day.
I was going to ask you, how many times do you do it? So 16 ounces. 16 ounces.
16 ounces twice a day. What I'm saying is 16 ounces of juice, and you have 8 ounces twice a day, or 10 ounces twice a day. Something.
Oh, okay. So 8 ounces twice a day, or 16 total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 10 ounces twice a day will be 20 ounces. That's reasonable. So between 16 and 20 ounces a day.
So what about in a regular, for someone who's healthy or someone who is, not worried about autoimmune? By the way, you haven't mentioned thyroid. Thyroid is an autoimmune condition, right?
It is, but Hashimoto's thyroiditis is the major source of why women develop hypothyroidism. Graves' disease means you have excess thyroid function. It's an autoimmune disease. And Hashimoto's is deficient. The thyroid gland is destroyed by it through an autoimmune process. We usually don't talk about it much as an autoimmune condition because it doesn't lead to so many bad symptoms. And the medication for it is not that toxic. When you're taking the thyroid medication, it's not as dangerous as the other drug. It's not a chemotherapeutic agent. So it's not as treacherous an illness to suffer with because you can take a drug that's not going to kill you. Whereas if you had something like rheumatoid arthritis where you're attacking your joints, then you have to take a drug that's poisonous to get rid of your symptoms. So the Hashimoto's don't require a chemotherapeutic agent. You're not sent to a rheumatologist for that treatment. Any doctor can give you a medication of thyroid hormone. You know what I mean? So it's not as severe a condition.
Now, so there are synthetic thyroid drugs, and then there are what the natural community would call, more, like, for example, there's, so there's Nature Throid is what I do, and I was on Synthroid for, 15 years.
Right.
And I was told that because I was on Synthroid for 15 years, there's no way I can get my thyroid function normal without medication. Is that true or not?
It's probably true. I mean, it's not true because you're not.
Oh.
It's not because you're on Synthroid for 15 years. That's what's causing you not be able to fix your thyroid.
Okay.
Synthroid didn't cause the problem. It's the autoimmune disease that caused the problem.
Okay.
Synthroid wasn't the problem.
Okay, so we're about to get started, but I want to talk some more about that because I'm curious. I'm curious about that.
407-373-5959.
Always so good talking to him.
Here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is such a pleasure to bring doctors and healers and mind people, whatever you want to call it, that these are people that will empower us to learn a new truth, that our bodies can heal naturally. Today, we are talking with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. He has been a friend of the show for the last 2.5 years. And I learn something new every time, like juicing versus, by the way, if you want to learn more about the juices that Dr. Joel Fuhrman recommends, not only get the book, Super Immunity, but you can listen to the YouTube video, the off-the-air conversation. He gives the formula for those of you who want to do your smoothies in the morning. The formula is in between the break right now. Be the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959, and get a copy. The 10th caller will win a copy of the book, Super Immunity. Hold it up, Dr. Fuhrman, on the video. And for those of you who, there's the book, it's called Super Immunity. For those of you who want to continue this kind of conversation. And this is what we're talking about on the Lillian McDermott radio show, is taking your life back, taking ownership of everything that is a part of your life. I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. That's whenyouneedafriend.com. This is where we take 100% responsibility for everything that happens in your life. You can blame somebody for whatever is going on in your life, but is it going to help you? Take 100% responsibility. Create something new for yourself. And this is where I want to encourage you to take that first step. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. Go to YouTube when you're in whenyouneedafriend.com. There are little buttons like the YouTube channel, subscribe there. When you subscribe at both at the website and when you at the YouTube, you will get the show sent right to you. So how easy is that? And there's also the 90-day challenge that you get for free. While you're there, make sure you like me on social media. And also, I want you to know that there are sponsors that pay for this show to go on the air. It's very expensive to do this. So without these sponsors, this show would not go on. You wouldn't have this free information. So I want to encourage you to go check out my sponsors page and figure out a way that you can support them the way they are supporting the show. You can watch or listen on podcast, on demand, and you can call or text. Be the 10th caller or texter and to win the copy of Super Immunity. This is for people who have autoimmune conditions, and we have so many different labels to this autoimmune condition, including thyroid, including lupus and diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, you name it. It's probably someone you know could use this book. 407-373-5959. Dr. Fuhrman, I'm always really grateful when you're on the show because we get all your years of wisdom. And this information that we talk about is also in pubmed.gov. Verify everything you hear, even the stuff you hear here. So this is stuff that is already, this is information that's already registered and published that you yourself can verify. Dr. Fuhrman, while we're on the break, we talked about the smoothie versus juice. And to get people healthy, we want to do juicing. Is there a particular reason? Help us understand why juicing works good when we are not well, and perhaps maybe does smoothies work good as a maintenance? Is that what I deduce?
Basically, if you're putting how much greens you're going to put into your smoothie, like 3 or 4 leaves of kale, with a little bit of bok choy. Then you put a lot of fruit in there. What else? You put a little soy. I don't know what you're going to put in your smoothie, but when you're juicing, to get a little third of a cup of green juice, you need a lot of kale, a lot of cabbage, a lot of bok choy, just to get a little bit of juice out of them. So you're probably using the whole head of the 15 leaves of kale to get that little bit of green juice. So you got a more concentrated form. You were able to get, a whole carrot in there, plus a whole celery, plus a whole head of lettuces in there, in that 1 glass of juice. You wouldn't have put all that food into your smoothie. You couldn't have fit it all in. And you couldn't have, by removing the fiber, you made it so you can take in more vegetables, and you would have been able to take in had you taken a smoothie. So when we have a person that's nutritionally depleted, like an autoimmune disease, we want them to take those juices twice a day to bring the level of nutrients high in their tissues. And interestingly, with these diseases of autoimmune conditions, and even like fibromyalgia, which is pain and soreness and fatigue, we find that when we flood the body with nutrients, while at the same time compressing the muscle tissue with what I call regenerative neuromuscular therapy, so we're flushing out the toxin, getting the tissue soft, so the blood flows back in to bring the nutrients back into the tissues. You know what happens? It's amazing. The nutrient scores go down in their bloodstream. So we track the nutrient levels. Let's say you get a nutrient score of 60,000. So now we give you the nutrients, and we, in the form of juicing, the super diet, and we give you the body therapy, and we get rid of the pain, the muscles start to feel better, and we get the hard tissues and the contracted muscles are getting softer again. And the body nutrient scores drop as these tissues are like sucking up nutrients that they've been starved of for so long. The nutrient scores in the body drop, and then they eventually come back up again over time. It's very interesting how these tissues are so are starving for these nutrients, that they're actually utilizing it as you're taking in more nutrients, your levels are going down. So very fascinating stuff we see.
Amazing. Amazing. Now, the body therapy that you're talking about, is that lymphatic massaging?
Well, not really. It's like when these people have contracted muscle, like they have ropes of bands of muscles that are contracted and tender and painful. And those have to be compressed. And they're painful when you touch them. So you don't want to rub them like a massage, because when you rub them like a massage, it irritates them. Yes. You don't want to press them like this, like traditional massage. You just want to put steady, straight pressure to get the blood in and the blood going out. Just straight pressure downward. So you want to find the hard contracted tissues that are most tender, these tender spots, and just compress it. We say the corn cob approach. Imagine the kernels on a cob, how you would, I'm going to press that kernel of corn, but I'm not going to miss any kernel on the cob. I'm going to move my hand only an eighth of an inch. So I press every single and compress every kernel. Imagine the sore line of the muscle was that. And you wouldn't just press the center of the muscle. You would press every little section of that muscle wants to be compressed to get the blood flowing back in. When you combine this regenerative neuromuscular therapy with the high nutrient diet, with the salads and the juicing and the blocked vegetables, and you take away all the processed foods, it's just miraculous to watch these people be able to get well again. Right now we're talking about diseases like the disease that causes pain, like fibromyalgia, but even what helps with rheumatoid arthritis. But what I'm saying right now is when we combine the whole approach that utilizes intermittent fasting, finishing eating dinner earlier, the juicing, the flooding the body with nutrients, the taking away the inflammatory foods and the oils and the salt out of your diet, it's the body becomes, and we give them probiotics, we give them anti-inflammatory herbs like quercetin and turmeric, and what were we saying earlier, and ginger, right?
Lemon, you were talking about lemon.
Lemon's more of a flavoring, but the anti-inflammatory herbs are more like turmeric, ginger, quercetin. We give them some mushroom extracts too. We very often give them more omega-3 fatty acids when they have a serious autoimmune disease. We give them more EPA because the EPA component is very immune modulating. So we give them the things that will cool down their immune response. So in a few months, we can start tapering them off medications. We're not stopping the drugs. We're coming off them slowly over a 6-month period. Most of these people within 1 year are off all their medications.
It's amazing.
Recoveries. It takes time. It's not magic.
Yeah.
We're building back the body's health. You can't build back the health in a week or two of eating right. It takes time to get the body back to health again.
Well, it took time to get your body to break down. Right. And so because of that, it's like, when I coach women that have just had a baby and they want their body back, oh my God, they want their body back. I say, it took 9 months to get you there. Let's give yourself some 9 months to get you back to where you want to be. Sometimes we want to be just quick, disposable society. We just want done, one and done. But the reality is we need to build to it. I saw this woman, she belonged to our church a long time ago. We thought she was going to die. She was on a wheelchair. First she started with a walker, then a wheelchair.
Did she have MS?
They thought she had MS, but you know what? They changed her diet. And she started doing some emotional work for her body. And she was walking again. It was like
still may have been MS. Right, it still might have been a mess. I've had lots of patients with multiple sclerosis that have recovered and have had children that have gotten totally well. MS is an autoimmune disease, and especially when you have relapsing and remitting MS, that's the time that's most reversible through these nutritional methods we're talking about.
Amazing.
So,
but you're told by the people you trust that you cannot get better. And that's the crying shame. And like you said, it's criminal sometimes. We trust. And I'm not saying all doctors are saying these things, but I would say go to your doctor and ask them, what they eat. Ask them what they do when they get sick. Because depending on what they do, that means that's all they know. You need to go to doctors that will lead you to a different way of thinking, a different path other than taking medication. Like you said, Dr. Fuhrman, food, nutritional excellence should be the first line of defense for our bodies. And so today, the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. 10th caller gets a copy of Super Immunity. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Joel Fuhrman when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. So, Dr. Fuhrman, as we go into our last segment, because we live in a deprived, deprivation, fear of deprivation. So you just shared all the things we should add, which is great. I love the fact that you're talking about adding juices, adding salads, omega-3s. I mean, you went through this long list of even mushrooms. Is there a particular mushroom that you recommend, Dr. Fuhrman?
No, but I
you have mushrooms on your website, right? Yes,
I give them a mix of 14 different mushroom extracts, but I also have them eat mushrooms too. We're talking about mushrooms are very powerful antigen presentation.
Or the G-bombs, yeah.
Which has to do with the problem of autoimmune disease, where you don't have proper antigen presentation. The cells have to learn which is normal and which are abnormal, and the mushrooms help the body do that.
Okay, so as this is our last segment, can you first start saying what to get off of right away? So don't say it now, we'll say it when we're on the air. What are the things that we're doing? Because most people think I eat well, and not me, but they're saying, oh, I eat well. And then they'll have tea or soda all day long. They don't drink water because they think that the water is in the tea. Maybe that's true, maybe not. Maybe they'll have processed foods, but they're having something that says organic processed foods, which are full of sodium. So what are some of the things that you can make us aware? I had Dr. Michael Clapper on the show not too long ago, and he gave us a formula. And his formula that he gave us for sodium intake, to be aware that how much sodium we're taking, that he would say that 1 milligram per calorie. Do you have like an awareness like that? That was a huge light bulb.
Now that's way too much salt.
Well,
that's too much salt. A person shouldn't be taking 2,000 milligrams of sodium a day. That's way too much. They're taking 2,000 calories. They could be taking in 2,000 milligrams of sodium a day.
Okay. So he's talking about, I guess, in an average and normal.
Well, that's better than most Americans are doing. Maybe he's saying the foods, in addition to the fruits and vegetables you eat.
Oh, yeah.
The foods that you eat besides that shouldn't have more than 1 milligram of sodium.
That is exactly right. I'm glad you clarified that.
Overall, your total diet shouldn't have more than 1,000 per day.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. So that I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly assuming that you primarily eat a healthy fruits and vegetables. Yes. I also have a question for you about the juice. When you juice, you're talking about ginger and turmeric, but is there a fruit that you can juice with, like an apple, or I don't know if you can juice blueberries because they're just so tiny, and they probably. What can we juice to make it? Because a lot of people like the sweet to make it palatable. What can you juice to make it palatable?
I don't want them to juice fruit in there.
No fruits. Okay.
It's so easy to eat fruit. You can eat blueberries with your cereal. You can have a bite of an apple. You don't have to put it in your juice.
Okay, that makes sense.
As you put the juice in there, you then put less vegetables in. I thought the juice was a way to get people to consume more vegetables. It's not a way to get them to consume more fruit.
Good. Okay.
Get the vegetables into them.
It's nice to know the why, Dr. Fuhrman. It's just good to know the why. Okay, so this is our last segment. We're going to start with what to stop. Okay.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today we have Dr. Joel Fuhrman. The doctor is in the house, and he is a strong supporter of the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. I'm so excited every time he's on. So today we're talking about how to build your immune system. His book, Super Immunity, is being given away. The 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959, will win a copy of this book. That's the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. Dr. Fuhrman, I've loved our conversations always, but off the air today, I want to encourage you, my listening friend, to go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Lillian McDermott Radio Show. Hey, they were the one that gave me the number. YouTube was the one that gave me the address. So that's the name of my YouTube channel, or you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and check out, just click on the YouTube video. So Dr. Fuhrman, you have been very articulate always, every time you come on the show, of the things we can add. You went through the list of, the salads and cruciferous vegetables, the juices, the omega-3s, all the different things that you mentioned in the previous segment. You talked about what to add to our life. Let's talk about what to stop right now, what to stop the sodas or the whatever it is that you're wanting to highlight that we can just stop.
Well, autoimmune diseases are serious conditions, and they require a serious nutritional intervention. So we really got to change the nutritional input of the body. So they have to stop almost everything they're eating. I'm telling the person, you no longer decide what to eat. Don't make choices. I'm going to tell you everything that you put in your body. I'm going to even give you the recipes for these foods to make them taste good. But you no longer make decisions about what to eat, because you're not going to make the right decisions. And don't make decisions based on what you prefer to eat. We're going to pick foods that are most healing for the body, prepared in ways that maximize their nutrients. And you may not prefer to eat these foods at the beginning, but after your taste buds acclimate to them and you learn the techniques and the flavors, you will prefer these foods. So you don't decide what to eat. I do that for you right now. But of course, we're stopping the SOS. We're stopping the sweets, the oils, and the salts right away, because salt inflames autoimmune condition. And oils are the most powerful food at exacerbating autoimmune disease, because especially heated oils that become rancid. Absolutely. And the sugars, of course, are so that includes honey and maple syrup. The only thing sweet in their diet are fruit or dried fruit, like a little bit of a date, but it's mostly, even with rheumatoid arthritis patients, they can't eat too much fruit. Their diet has to be mostly vegetables with only not more than one fruit. And even the fruits we pick are like green apple and berries. We don't want to give them too much sugar, too much fruit in their diet. These people are very sensitive to sweets, so they have to be off the sweets, oils, and salt. So, of course, at the beginning, I want them to get off their drugs and get well. They're in serious conditions, so I'll take them off the wheat, I'll take them off the meats and the animal products, and I'll take them off the oils and the sweets and the dairy. They're mostly eating vegetables and nuts and beans and fruits, and they're eating certain whole grains like steel-cut oats and quinoa and millet. But they're eating, root vegetables like, parsnips and turnips and sweet potato, but and summer squashes and winter squashes and things like that. But their diet is very specifically designed to reverse autoimmune conditions, to get them well as fast as they possibly can. So it's a whole program of foods. But you're right, they have to stop a lot of their present dietary practices that are inflaming their body and causing the problem to continue.
Let's talk about hydration. A lot of people think I drink soda or I drink tea and that's enough hydration. So can you go specifically what to do when it comes to hydration?
Hydration does not matter. It does not matter, because when you're eating an unhealthy diet, your body is puffed out with a tremendous amount of water, because the body has to suck in all this water to dilute the toxicity of your diet, so these irritants and these acids don't become too toxic. So when I have people lose weight, they're losing 1 pound a day for the first month sometimes. The body's not losing that much fat. It's losing water because the body was holding on to so much water. You require so much water when your diet is unhealthy. But once you eat a healthy diet, the body doesn't need to hold on so much water. And so all that fat all the weight you thought was fat, a lot of that was just the body was puffed out because the cells were so full of fluid. When you're eating fruits and vegetables and melons and the lettuce, the celery, the cucumbers, the soups, you're getting a high water content diet. You don't need as much fluid because the food gives you a lot of fluid, and your diet is so low in salt that you don't need much fluid to pee out the extra sodium. So the American diet, they need a tremendous amount of water. But once you're on a nutritarian diet, without the salt, without the dried foods, without the fried foods, without the junk food, you don't hardly need any water, except when you're exercising, when you're outdoors in the heat, and you're sweating, but you don't need maybe you need, 3 to 4 glasses of water a day, not, 15 to 20 glasses of water a day. And so what I'm saying is that hydration with water becomes less important the healthier you eat. And the more unhealthy you are, the more water you need.
Okay, but when you are drinking sodas, that's included in the sugar? Is that what you're saying? That's
junk food. Yeah, that's
junk food. I just want to be specific. I don't want people to think.
You're taking in liquid sweets. That's the most fattening, damaging food you could take in. Liquid sweeteners, liquid artificial sweeteners. That's just poisonous. And if the person drinking soda isn't going to have the mentality to do what I'm doing, because they're so far away from a nutritarian approach. This is dietary excellence, and that's dietary foolishness.
I just want to make sure you say it, because sometimes if you don't say it, they say, oh, well, the doctor didn't say it, so therefore I can do it. It's omission. And so I want to make sure that
they shouldn't do cocaine, snort heroin.
Thank you for that.
Heroin, burn heroin. They shouldn't be doing that stuff, nor should they have soda. Heroin and soda are definitely out.
That's good. That's good. And for those of you who want to
mention it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because if they think that doing heroin is going to help them, then now they know they don't. So, but sometimes that's how the human brain works, Dr. Fuhrman. If you don't say, don't do this, well, the doctor didn't say I didn't have to do it, so I guess I can do it. It's the tricks of an addict. It's the trick of an addicted mind. And we do it to ourselves all the time. This is how we sabotage ourselves. And that's what I love about you. You're like on it. You're like on it. This is what you need to do. This is how you achieve nutritional essence.
If you compromise the message to make the diet more palatable to a bigger group of people, then you took away the opportunity of the suffering person to get totally well. That person wants to get rid of their lupus. They want to remove their asthma. They want to totally get well from their fibromyalgia. If you make the message too wishy-washy, so they eat all the things they still like and just improve their diet a little bit, they're still going to be sick. And they're still going to have to take the poisonous drugs from their rheumatologist.
That's right.
They have to attack this with a full attack on from all fronts.
And if you need a little help from your friends tonight, I know that for those, if we air this again, just know we're talking August 15th. If we air this again, just know if it's not August 15th, we're airing this show again. So it's 7235 Bonneville Road here at the station in Jacksonville. Our Heal Tribe, our Healthy Eating and Living, which Dr. Joel Fuhrman has made some appearances in the Space Coast Heal Tribe. Maybe we can get you to do the First Coast as well. But it's tonight at 5:30. The Heal Tribe. This is the Healthy Eating and Living Tribe. Join us. You need to RSVP because we're doing a potluck. We're doing a nutritarian potluck, Dr. Fuhrman, your honor. We embrace a nutritarian lifestyle. And so I'm excited. So that's 7235 Bonneville Road. If you want to join us, text me 407-373-5959. If you want a copy of Dr. Joel Fuhrman's Super Immunity book, be the 10th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. Dr. Joel Fuhrman, it is always a pleasure to have you on the Lillian McDermott radio show, and I always look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
And if there are people suffering who need extra help, they should come to the website. They can communicate with me through drfuhrman.com directly, and they can even come in and live at my retreat for a few months while we get them on this program.
That's
so we want to make sure they know they have all the tools they need and they're not suffering alone, and I'm going to work with them.
And next month, Dr. Fuhrman, we're going to talk about the Eat to Live Retreat Center that's opening in September for those of you who want Dr. Fuhrman in your face saying, do eat this, don't eat that, and learn a new way, learn a new truth. Dr. Fuhrman, I am just so thrilled. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It is always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
And for you, my listening friend, you heard a doctor say that just because you're on this medication doesn't mean you'll always be on the medication. Nutritional excellence. Check it out at pubmed.gov. If you don't believe this wonderful man, check it out yourself. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. This is what we need to do. This is how we live our life, Dr. Fuhrman. And, we wonder why we're sick. We're wondering why we're in pain. And we just keep putting trash in our body.
Right.
It's amazing. And I love your passion, and I love how you continue to help people all over the world. So thank you, Dr. Fuhrman.
Thanks, Lily.